moving into like that Task Force era,
Mm-hmm.
Mark B, and his production. Now, how was that from the beginning? How did it feel working with Mark? How was it working with an external producer from a very different, cut of cloth? Well, not so much actually. Maybe just a different walk of life.
Well, Mark had already worked with the Mud, if I'm right. Yeah, he'd done Mud Files. Is Mud Files his?
Oh
I think.
yeah.
So I think he'd done that with them, and we were. I don't think we really had a direction at that point in time when we first met Mark. Was we were doing Mudlums in Powerhouse, so it was early. And Mark came maybe to one of them or two of them. And then at the end of one of them, he asked me and my brother to have a chat with him outside. We had a chat. And
How did he find out about you then?
probably through Skinny and maybe... I mean, we'd put little things, maybe Disorder. There was a tape with Disorder that Disorder used to do these tapes. I can't remember what they were called now, man. But he used to just showcase loads of people's
Was it
tracks.
UK Hustlers?
Yes.
That was it, yeah. Fucking hell.
Yeah, so...
What type Disorder?
Yeah, well done, Disorder. Them times... So from somewhere you must have just heard about us anyway, but we hadn't actually put out anything ourselves. Maybe we'd been on radio a few times. And the problem with Berry Crew is we were slow.
There's a lot of you.
Yeah, but even though it wasn't, it didn't have the organisation that it should have. It was very difficult because we did a Berry Crew EP, had the blues and Hyde and different other tracks on it, which I think were great tracks, but we did them so long ago, and then when it finally got released, they were kind of like, and it just took so long for anything to get done.
Who was the singer in Berry Crew, by the way?
Twilight Eyes.
Twilight Eyes, that was my guy.
Twiggy.
We used to go and get KFC.
Listen, my guy used to live on Supermalt and Nutriment, and we'd interesting one in Hackney. We used to share a studio, Sounds of Money. Was it Sounds of Money studio? A guy called Jeremy Toos. I have a Toos on, but I just used to call him Toos. But I think he was the manager of Roots Maneuver. So this studio held Black Twang, Roots Maneuver, and their affiliates, and Berry Crew, Mudfam, and Wayne Lowtech, who I think
yeah. Drum and bass. Was it? Did you get into drum and bass?
No, I know that he was the DJ for Roots Maneuver. So when you saw him on Jules Holland and all that, the Dread, that was Wayne. He was doing the engineering for us. He did a bit of rapping, and we spent a lot of time in that studio. And at that time, it was like there was a little bubbling pot. But Mark somehow must have heard of us. He said, "Boom, I'd like to do a record with you." And we was like, "What, like the crew them?" And it's like, "No, just you and your brother." And it was like, "Oh, this is gonna be when the shit hits the fan." And as it did hit the fan quite hard, but it's one of those life decisions you have to make. And so we kind of thought about it, and we were like, all right, we'll go for it. And he was like, cool, what are we gonna call ourselves? And I used to just tag anywhere in the room, or the space that we called the studio, and it was a sitting room. And I'd written Task Force just out of years ago before, and I was thinking of all the stuff in the sitting room, and or Chess was one of us came up with it and was just like Task Force, and Mark was like, yeah, I don't mind that, and I was like, oh well, let's all discover that. So we said Task Force pretty much straight away, and then we went back and forth to where Mark lived. Was it Barnes?
Kingston, wasn't it?
Kingston.
Which Barnes?
Oh,
near
he was
Kingston?
Barnes, wasn't he?
Right, there you go.
Yeah, he's Barnes.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, so many trips up and back and forth. I think we went to Mark's once, and then the rest of the times we went to Vad's to record it. So up and down on the train.
Vad had the studio up
Yeah,
on the top.
yeah. And his mum used to come up and just.
Do you know what you see? You go, Tisha. You say Tisha. I don't know
She used to be like,
Russian.
come down and have a drink and have tea, and it's like, yes, Miss Vadim.
Yeah, totally. She smashed it.
Yeah,
Big up
respect
Vad's
Vadim, man. I love Vadim still.
Yeah,
you know, Vadim, that we introduced him to Yara Bravo and they got married. I know that's not a story anymore, but, you know, I was always proud of that.
Yeah, that was a moment.
Hip-hop moment of love.
Yeah, exactly. Big shout out to him.
Yeah, big shout out.
He opened doors for so many people, didn't he?
Yeah, he's a good fella as well. He's a
is.
good fella. I remember, you know what, I've never seen a guy get mad. I've never seen Vadim get mad.
Never.
Because that's not the kind of man he is. But I do remember we were in the tour bus, and I reckon you must have been there too. And I think, if I'm right or not, but Swollen members, Task Force, Mr. Fing, Mampenstein, you,
and those
and the Isolationists,
yeah,
and Simon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The label runner.
We were driving, and it was getting a bit tiring, and the van was swerving a bit. I think someone was falling asleep, and someone put toothpaste either in his ear, or Vad was driving, or in his hair. What?
Did he go wild?
Yeah.
He hated it.
Yeah.
Never saw that.
Yeah. I don't know if Vad will remember that, but he was not happy, and everyone was like, he's angry.
Yeah. Yo, chill, bro.
He was real angry, man. But yeah, so the story goes, Mark was blessed. We went to the studio. Vad was there. Mark was there. It was pretty straightforward. I mean, one of my biggest regrets about those sessions is that we were so hungry, not actually hungry physically, but just artistically hungry, that we completely overpowered our verses. Like, they're so, it's almost like saying, like, there's food hanging here and the mic's there and you're going, like, it sounds so, it's like, when I hear it, I go, oh, like, it's the white noise and the crackle off my own hunger is overwhelming. Maybe that's what people love about, I don't know what it is, but it's really over the top.
That's interesting.
When you listen to it, if you listen to it, it's not composed. Like, I don't mean like composed. I mean the composure of the artists as they are
stable-minded,
reciting their rhymes is not of a composed nature. It is hungry and immediate, and and that's what I get off it. And when I hear it, I think, oh, it's too hungry. But
it's interesting you see that.
I hear it because I know that's what it was. We were so aware of it being our shot to step up. Like I was saying about, you know, we'd moved here, we'd moved there, we'd do the Mudlums, we were working on a Berry Crew EP, but here we are, about to be able to work with people like Vadim and do a record for Records on the Deeper Concentration compilation.
Like fucking tour and do all this stuff.
These were things that were like, well, this is now within grasp, so let's perform. And that's what I mean by we overperformed it. It was too, I need it. It was a bit desperate. There you go, that's the word. It always comes in the end. It was slightly desperate. And maybe you can hear that if you listen to it, New Mike Order especially. And then you did mention a change when you heard the Voice of the Great Outdoors, when you listened to the Voice of the Great Outdoors, with a lot of the earnings that we'd accumulated from doing the tours, even though there was no money, you know that yourself, but at least a couple of record sales here and there. We purchased our first MPC, which is what we made the beats for Voice of the Great Outdoors on, and recorded it in our own sitting room. And what you can hear people, oh no, I don't like Voice of the Great Outdoors as much as New Mike Order. What you hear is two brothers who are starving to be given an opportunity, being able to go home in the comfort of their surroundings
With their own control.
with their own control and say, let's relax. And what you hear is a relaxed recording.
It's fucking... That's the journey. Like, I can't think of any particular tune on New Mike Order, the first album, where I feel, oh, you guys are too angsty. But what I do, however, feel is who was the other guy?
Eno Redrum.
Right, Eno Redrum. He was like the Vin from Naughty by Nature. He kind of like popped in and out. He was like the Sendog, and I felt like he just wasn't committing.
Well, he was dragged.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know why, but maybe insecurity on our behalf. But I suppose we're trying to shield ourselves from judgment by bringing in different elements. And Eno was a kid who, the kids around our estate, they came knocking on the door and were like, we've got a kid who raps. It's like, all right, bring him up. Bring him to the door. All right, bust a rap. And he I can't remember what he rapped. It was like a Naughty by Nature lyric even. Yeah. It was someone else's rap. And we kind of looked at him and was like, yeah, but like, that's not your lyric, is it? Have you got your own lyrics? He's like, no. I was like, all right. So I brought him in and wrote his rhymes for him and trained him how to spit. And what you hear is the result of that. So I ghost wrote the raps for him. That's why you hear me on his ad-libs. Because he was a very unconfident guy who, like I say, we dragged him along. It's like, yeah, Eno Redrum, yeah, we could murder one backwards, yeah. Come on, let's do it. Like, Eno Redrum. He didn't know what an NPC was. Do you know what I mean? On the I Wish thing, he didn't even know what he was talking about. So when you hear that, it's good because a lot of people go, yeah, what happened to Eno Redrum? But I'm glad you hear that because he wasn't necessarily a willing participant. And he was really shy and really anxious. So even recording it, and that's not his own voice either. So I pressurized in a way, friendly pressure to manipulate him to project in a certain way.
No, you fucking do this first.
No. TJ, that's his name. TJ, he's a lovely, lovely guy, and he.
You still see him? Or you know
I
where
think
he is?
the last time we played in Brixton Jam, which must have been a few years ago, but he lives over the road from there, and he came.
Oh, that's
and,
sick.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. And he was like, yeah. And he's exactly the same kid, really. But
what's he do for a living, you know?
I've got no idea what he does.
Because his voice is, you know, and I'll say this as well, with the right pressure, which happened, his voice, it's really mad to think that third voice, you must have had an ear for it when you first heard him, because for whatever reasons you brought him in, I think I understand why you brought him into the foundation. It was because he was a kid. He was from the estate. He was that real. And like you say, you're trying to, you know, you're going to...
I wanted to bring another instrument in.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to...
And his voice was so different.
Oh, his voice is great. His voice was great. His nerves is what you can hear. So he's not comfortable because that would have been the first or second time he had really ever spat the rhyme.
Did he record down at Kingston as well?
Yeah. So he'd have come down with us on the train and he would have done those lyrics. And I think we did... Wait, Brixton, which is the club in the pub? Is that the Jam?
Yeah.
What's the one in the church?
The Mass, yeah.
Yeah. Brixton Mass. We did a gig in there, and he came, and this would have been on. Maybe you would actually
I was there as well. Yeah, I remember.
He came. That's
came
the
for a
only
few shows.
first never performed.
I thought he did maybe like 2 shows on the tour and then stopped.
I know that he did the Brixton Mass, and afterwards he was like, I don't want to do it.
Was it too much for him?
Shit in his pants. Which is cool. But if you don't want to do it, and it's not what you're... I mean, we all shut our pants when we first started
But it's how you throw the shit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got people in the crew who literally came on stage and rapped to the wall. That's how they got over there, and it would be like, "Yo, we're over here." And my guy was like, "I don't care."
Yeah. When I'm ready, man.
Yeah. But that's if you want it, then you find a way, and he found his way that way. But Eno,
How did that feel like though when Berry Crew had already been kind of sidelined for not sidelined? That sounds really harsh. But you could have got one of those guys. Was that political as well?
No, you know what? There wasn't politics to it.
Okay.
It's just within that crew, you had when it was originally came into existence. I was sat with Intense and Mike Skiller, and Mike Skiller, Intense, and myself said, "Let's form an alliance because we'd been enemies." I was having a child with Mike's sister. Me and Intense used to battle him, and we were mortal enemies.
Oh, shit.
Yeah? So it was like,
Some
wait,
Romeo
hold on.
Juliet
So Mike
shit.
must have been thinking, what do you mean he's having a kid with my sister? Like, what kind of revenge is this from a battle in a playground? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
So we all sat down. I can remember it in Skiller's mum's living room and was like, right, boom, we're going to work it out. He'd done his little dominant force thing. So we came up with the Berry Crew. And, we just, again, we wanted it to be bigger. So we, out of a lack of confidence in ourselves, we started looking for different components to bolster it.
Yeah.
But they weren't stronger components, they were weaker components. So we had Chester, obviously, me, Intense, Skiller. But then it started growing, and as skillful as all of that would become, at the time when it needed to be, it's like it just kind of like weighed it down, and it was a flabby bottom project where it was kind of like running and it was going ba-da-bum, ba-da-ba-dum, and
Whereas Task Force was a lot more structured. It had the foundations of the label, with Mark being delegated to one thing, Vadim in assistance, and I guess having an extra.
Well, we didn't have to do anything.
Yeah,
and there was no negotiation on our behalf with anyone else artistically, other than saying, I like that beat, I don't like that beat. Because me and Chester, there's no deliberating, there's no conversation. It's like, Chess, you do your bit, cool. Farms, you do your bit, cool. And it's very rare that I would say, you know what, Chess, that bit, da-da-da-da-da. We'd just say it as it's in real time. Yeah, an ad-lib there, Chess, double that one. No, that one. Yeah, farms, like you're coming in too early or whatever. But that's it. Not like listening to it for 6 months and going, yeah, maybe we should change that.
Just drop in, because it's intuitiveness, isn't it?